Welcome to the Stand on Your Investment podcast, presented by UC Hunting Properties and Expedition Land Management, where professionals from around the country will dive deep into land management strategies, investing in recreational real estate, and all things hunting.
All right, I think we're live and back. New episode of Stand on Your Investment. Today we're joined by a very special guest, my buddy, President, CEO, Grand Poopah, all things Tactacam and Reveal by Tactacam, Jeff Peel.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kurt. I appreciate it a bunch. We're excited to see what this year is going to bring for Reveal. It's going to be a really cool one.
We're excited to hear. I got to say this because I know Turtle's recording it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully at least does a tight shot, but Jeff literally looks like he was in a knife fight with a group of ninjas, a.k.a. he's been doing some habitat work.
Yeah, it got a little Western, to say the least. I don't know. Yeah, one cedar tree goes up and all your plans go to crap.
Yeah, Jeff said he only burned, or effectively burned, like 30 cedar trees that weren't supposed to be burned. So that's not a bad day in the management burn world.
It was great cover around a food plot that was going to go there. And,
right where all the shed antlers should be. Yeah,
going to have to plant some miscanthus or something now. Cedars are gone.
Little regenerational strategy there. I love it. Yeah. But okay, so all joking aside, we are in the midst of burn season and stuff. Gerpsy and I've kind of been chomping at the bit to get rolling. Of course, now today we're in a red flag warning for northeast Iowa, so we'll see what happens. Either we're not going to burn or we'll probably be calling the fire department. I don't really know. But, I should say this too. Travis Homily is joining us today. He's not in the live feed or the video, but he is connected via audio, so we hear him. So, of course, Trav will be chiming in along the way. Trav, say hi, so at least people know you're there.
I'm here. I feel like that last kid in gym class waiting to get picked, though. But you know.
Well, that's kind of been the story of your life anyway, right? Trav's got an exciting day ahead of him.
People just give me the 8-pointers. They don't give me anything else.
Well, somebody's got to do the real management
Somebody's got to do. That's the heavy lifting, Trav. It's the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a good day today because he could go pick out his dog.
I was just going to say it's a special day in Travis Homily world because he's going to pick up a new lab, or pick out a new lab. I don't think they're ready to come home yet.
No, not ready. Just got to find out who's going to be my new mistress for the rest of my life.
That's right.
That's
right.
A good day right there.
That is a good
Jeff,
day.
you got like 3 at home now?
30, I don't know. Once you have more than one for each hand, you don't remember. Yeah.
Now, are you talking about children or are you talking about dogs?
Yeah, both.
We change? Okay, okay. I was just clarifying.
I like the dogs more than the kids.
They listen better. I know that, or at least I do.
It's funny. My wife, she gives me crap all the time. She's like, I never hear you say you're ready to get home from vacation to see the kids, but the dogs,
Can't wait. No, I know the feeling, but all right, so we got 25 angles we could cover with Jeff for sure. Jeff's a big hunter. I think I'll steal one from Cobbett's playbook. You literally live under a rock if you're not running Reveal cameras at this point. So, Jeff, if you don't mind, take whatever it takes. We just want to give us the highlight reel about Tactacam, about Reveal by Tactacam. I'm saying soup to nuts on how this thing evolved because it absolutely exploded, hottest thing in the outdoor industry.
Sure. Well, it's funny because I still remember when Kurt was the Anthem Archery owner and walking into the shop, and I had a Hoyt, and Kurt was Hoyt guy, and he was tuning it in for me. That was the first time that I met him. I was showing him this little camera. At that point, we were maybe 6 months into it.
Yeah, barely a blurb on the radar.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Like nobody. You were like, Tacta what? Like what? The same thing.
What are you doing?
Spell that for me. Yeah.
Cool name.
Yeah. And it was a Ben Stern who was the founder of the business. He's the, I guess what you'd call the prodigy behind the camera piece. It was a brainchild.
Knowing Ben, the fact that you just called him the prodigy.
Yeah,
Ben, I hope you're listening.
More like
Jeff Peel just called you the prodigy.
More like the savant. But you turn. He had a great idea, and it's funny because he still has his first board wrapped in duct tape that he had taped to his bow. And
That's awesome.
it was just this really cool idea that he had, and him and I ran into each other actually on a buddy. I was hunting with a friend of his in Wisconsin, and he introduced us. And I just told him, like, hey, if you ever need any help, like,
I'm your guy.
Yeah, give me a holler. This is really cool. And as he went on, he ran into a bad partnership situation, and we were able to get involved and help him out. And I remember driving home from southern Indiana. I was in the cemetery and funeral business of all things, and driving home from southern Indiana, and I called my wife at midnight on the drive home and said, hey, I think this thing can be real. I've been thinking about it all night. I think we should just, I'm going to kick what I'm doing, and we're going to go full steam ahead. And that was 9 years ago. And I just remember her comment. She said, how about we talk about this in the morning, and literally hung up the phone.
9 years later, he's still married.
Yeah. So it's been a wild set of twists and turns. But once we had built the brand and established a space where we had the distribution, had the marketing, had the teams put together, the logical next step was, to look at cellular trail cameras. It was kind of the way everybody was going, and nobody had it right yet. So it was hard for me because you guys get it. You grew up in this space, and you're looking at brands that we've known all of our life and thinking, like, can you really go compete with what you look at as legacy companies?
Right.
And so it was one of those things where it took a lot of convincing, and I thought, I'm going to just take a road show. I'm going to go to all of our big partners, Bass Pro Shop, Shields, Walmart. I'm just going to hit them all, and if I can get one or two of them to say yes, we'll start the development process, and we'll kick this thing off. And all of them committed, shyly committed, but they committed. So, our first year, we went through development in 2019. We launched Reveal in 2020, which was... it put us on the map a lot faster than I thought it would.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. And we just built a camera that we thought hunters would love, something they could afford with an app that they would love, that they could afford, and tried to keep it simple. We made a joke, like, let's just make a camera that takes pictures and sends it to your phone, and then we'll let them tell us everything else that they actually want it to do going forward.
Well, because we're 2023. It's not like you're some ancient company, and you already pretty much own
the market,
the cellular camera market.
Yeah, 2023, it's going to be a great year for us. I mean, but yeah, it was one of those things that we thought as soon as we got into it, we had a great year in 2020. We thought, we'll build 75,000 units. That'll be safe. We went through those in like 6 weeks. I mean, it was stupid.
Yep.
And of course, everybody knows what happened in 2020. Mm-hmm. I mean, COVID hit, couldn't get product. So it was a rough 6 or 7 months there trying to.
What's interesting, and I guess I hadn't thought about that until you just said that, Jeff, but I mean, the outdoor industry as a whole, I'm going to say, benefited from the scamdemic we call COVID, right? It seems like a lot of people got re-engaged or engaged in the outdoors, and I mean, it's reflected in the tag numbers, the draw results, everything. I mean, the western states got flooded, even the Midwest, the Corn Belt or Deer states, flooded with new non-resident applications and stuff. So I'd never thought about that until literally just now. The struggle COVID created from a manufacturing perspective was a big pain in your ass. But on the flip side, you probably had a more captive audience than ever in history as well.
No question. I mean, it was the blessing and the curse, right? Yep. Because we couldn't get any more product, but that just fueled the fire.
Yeah, I mean, you want what you can't have, right?
Talking about fire, I mean, this is what it felt like going through that first year. But it really did. I mean, we didn't have to continue to market. I mean, everybody was marketing for us because those first 75,000 people got the cameras and were going nuts. And
their minds were exploding.
Yeah, and it just became, where can we get it? Where can we get it? Why don't they have it? All the conspiracy theories coming out as to we're going out of business or what the deal was. And so it really set up for a great next year. And then this year we'll do well over 7 figures in units.
That's insane.
It's grown a lot. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I know you guys are private, so obviously I'm not going to ask you much other than I hope everyone just caught that. That's this year. There's going to be 1 million plus cameras in circulation.
No, that's new camera sales just this
That's
year.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. We've already got over
On
1 million.
top of
Yeah.
everything that's happened since 19 forward.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. But I even think, personally, I remember when Reveal came out and obviously jumped on the bandwagon like everybody else. I don't remember definitively, but I'm going to say I started with Ford, Jeff. Fast forward 3 years, I think I was running 42 or 44 cameras last season.
It goes quick.
It's addicting.
Yeah.
I mean, I wake up in the middle of the night and you're scrolling pictures and you're whacked out of your mind, and heaven forbid you're hunting a specific deer. That will wreck a marriage in a heartbeat. But that's another discussion. But kudos on the success, because like I said, this is super cool, and I love even how you guys have evolved the cameras, and I like that they're still simple. Way more complex than the Gen 1s, but in the same time not overkill. I mean, they're pretty user-friendly, and I'm not a tech guy, so you guys do enhancements and, you can do this, and you can. I don't do that. Like, I'm literally the guy that flips it open, scans the QR code or whatever, activates the camera, and maybe other than setting, like the burst mode or video mode to it, I walk away from it. I'm not – I don't piss around with much of it, but in my opinion, hands down the best trail camera in existence.
No, we definitely appreciate that. And that's really, as somebody who grew up, I mean, my first trail cameras were 35 millimeter film.
Oh, yeah.
I remember sitting at Walmart waiting for the 1 hour photo, like, come on. And, you got 2 pictures of squirrels and maybe a deer if you're lucky.
Right. And you're like, oh, that's nice. That's a deer's butt. Oh, weird. A cow's face. Yeah.
Jump in the Walmart lady's butt. Like, come on.
You just
spend
paid
an hour and 10 minutes.
$10 to develop 36 pictures, and you have like 2 deer. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I've been a trail camera user, from literally the beginning, and same thing, bought 3 or 4 of them and would go out every 2 days to change my film and hope that you remember to rewind it before you opened it. And
you're putting in like the big Monster D batteries.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
So it's so easy to look at it now and just be like, hey, it's a passion. It's not. I think that's what made it easy from a user perspective. I didn't need a QC team in the beginning because it's something that we run so many of that it just was.
Well, and even now, like, you virtually got rid of AA batteries. I mean, I know all of ours now it's all solar panels. If I have to go to a camera, I mean, they're taking thousands and thousands of pictures, and unless some raccoon comes by or rabbit or deer decides to destroy the camera, which happens, I mean, you don't have to go back.
Yep.
And I don't have to buy batteries anymore, those types of things. I mean, all those things from Gen 1 to what generation would you even consider you're on
Pro
now?
X, I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody thought, like, why are you developing so many cameras? And it really wasn't a choice. Once again, going back to the COVID deal, we just had so many chips, and I just refused to do what everybody else did, which was keep the same name on a camera that wasn't the same camera. So, we continued, as we could get chips from wherever, we continued to develop. But it's one of X Gen 2 and X Pro this year. I mean, they're by far have been our most popular sellers. We continue to be able to, which is cool. As we've become technologically more advanced, there's so many things that we're going to be able to do for all of those cameras that are legacy cameras to keep, better. We're going to roll out a new package here in the next couple of months, and the photo quality, just the difference is like night and day.
Yep.
So those kind of things we've been able to continue to do to improve them have been, a gigantic help for, and the user loves it because they don't have to go out, and buy a new camera every other day. So we're going to fall into a better cadence here where we can just continue to support, people who have 40 cameras and just want them to continue to get better.
Thank God, which I already know this means like I'm going to be updating firmware and things I'm not comfortable with, but appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
Most of the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of auto updates and stuff now.
That'd be good. That'd be good. I mean, if I actually have to do something, the odds of it happening properly aren't
pretty
high.
slim.
Yeah, and I'll just throw it in the garbage and we'll get another one. But
start over.
Right. I'd like to see you bring back the SK, Jeff. I mean, love it, hate it, whatever. That camera's the bomb, in my opinion.
I'm just gonna say, I don't want to give away too much, but just stay tuned because,
Talked him right into it.
Yeah.
But full sales pitch for Reveal right now, and I'm going to do this. Trav, go ahead.
I mean, one thing that we talk about the usability and everything of it, but Jeff, I don't know if you were in charge of it or somebody else, but when you call the customer support, I mean, for one, you get a live person that actually knows what the heck they're doing. And, the follow-up and the customer service is beyond, my expectations. I mean, usually if I have a problem with a camera, it goes in the garbage and I buy a different one. These I actually can work with. So I applaud you for that customer service that you guys have built.
Thanks for calling that out because it's something that we pride ourselves on. We actually built it as a pillar, and most people just kind of look at it as an afterthought. I mean, big companies these days try and get a hold of, forget about hunting, right? Try and get a hold of any big company to help you fix anything if it doesn't work out of the box.
Call your bank.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's hit this number, hit that number. Yeah. Are you talking in Spanish? No, clearly I'm talking in English.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad Trav brought that up because I've heard that over and over and over, and we all know, being in the industry, 9 times out of 10, all people want to talk about is what's wrong.
Yep.
Very seldom are they talking about what's right. So I'm glad Trav hit on that, and that's actually where I was about to pivot. I mean, I was teasing you a little bit about the SK, but I don't think people truly understand, and if they haven't dabbled into like the external solar panel, and I'm not saying it wasn't properly presented to the public, but I don't think people clearly understand that that's the equivalent of like having 12 lithium batteries in a solar panel that recharge, that you hook to the camera, and to Chris's point, you walk away from it. And the outside of the cord getting pulled out, or your stake getting tipped over, or something destroying the setup, that's unbelievable. And I had a lot of cameras that set up to a T. An SK full of batteries or the rechargeable pack, either or, but tied to the external pack or whatever you want to call it, solar panel.
Yep.
A lot of those cameras went up in June, and I've just been running around taking them down now, but I mean, virtually none of them have ever dropped below 90%, and these cameras are taking a lot of pictures.
And that's the goal. The goal for us now, because once again, as a user, you get it. Like, what are the things that matter? And one of the things that really matters is not the whole purpose of a cellular camera is not to go back out to it. And so we've worked a lot. The lithium packs, that was, I wish I could say, it was my brainchild to start, but then 2 or 3 people in the company were like, we've got to sell these for all the cameras. And I'm like, who's going to buy because they're expensive to build. It's super high quality, super expensive to build. And I'm like, who's going to buy a $50 pack? And then lithium batteries went up to $25 for 12 batteries or whatever. And
when they're running $2.50, $3 a pop. Yeah.
And we went through those things. I mean, I thought, okay, we'll get 50,000 of them and just see how people take to them. And it was the same deal. We've probably sold 500,000 or 600,000 lithium packs now. People don't want to mess with batteries.
No. If this trail camera thing doesn't work out, I think Jeff's got a pretty good model for running a large drug cartel. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But no, it's been fun to watch this progress, explode. Kudos. I mean, congrats to you guys.
Appreciate that a bunch. And, I got a story just to touch on that customer service piece. So my cell phone, which too many people have, it's still an old Chicago number. I've had it for, well over probably 15 plus years and just never changed it. I keep saying I'm going to, but that was the first customer service line. So one of the things that I decided I was going to do when I bought the company was I'm going to hook up. I'm going to be the customer service person. I want to understand what customer. At that point, we had 3 customers, so it's not like it was a heavy lift or anything. But
I got sick of talking to you.
Yeah, right. And funny enough, like a bunch of our customers, like Dave Mathis, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
He runs all of our major accounts. He just took over Bass Pro, and as a key, he lives up here in Decorah now. I mean, heck, he was the literal first person who ever called my number, and he got it from an ad in like a North American Whitetail magazine,
kidding.
and he was standing in Ohio, and I told him, I said, one of these days, we talked for 2 hours. You're talking hunting. It's easy, right?
It's way easy. Yeah.
And I was the worst customer service. I would have got fired like really fast. I was on the phone with everybody for
Jeff's
hours.
close rate was a little slow. Yeah.
Yeah. And we, I told him, I said, one of these days I'm going to call you back when we get big enough and you're going to come work with me. And, we just kind of laughed and we became friends after that. Now, he runs.
Yeah, he's one of your top brass sales guys.
Sure.
Yeah. Nope, that's awesome.
Well, even you did that to start, but when you dropped Reveal, you sat in the customer service desk for quite a while there, you wanted to field every customer service call, the first ones that came out when you dropped Reveal.
Yeah, it was me, Tara, Ben Stern, and a couple of our Tactacam customer service people that we had hired at that point, and we were up till midnight every single night, literally midnight every night, because we weren't going to go to bed until every single email was answered. Everybody was contacted back. If we missed a phone call, we were at least sending them an email saying, hey, we're still here. Let's talk tomorrow.
Right.
And it was unbelievably hectic. So we hired a few more customer service people. Now we have, to give you an idea, people who are way smarter than me running it, between our chief customer officer, our VP of customer support, and then 160 and growing by 10 every week. We hire, all U.S. based, fully trained. We have an unbelievable training team that does nothing. It's actually the only full staff training team we have in our company is for customer service because, it is the pillar that we still build the company on.
Well, I know, just the people, people listening aren't going to understand, but the people that you said, hey, fielded all the customer service calls are like your top 1 through however many you listed, 5 or 6. You're the top 6 answered the phone call for the first umpteen months to make sure that this camera went off without a hitch.
Yeah, we wanted to know everything about everything. And, I'm a big, big believer. Like, if I won't do it myself, I'm never going to ask anybody else to do it. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things that, it was the most enjoyable part and still is of my job. Like when I get to talk to customers, whether it's, through Facebook Messenger or on the phone, I still have, guys that got my number that have become friends now that, they won't call customer support. They just pick up and call myself, which is fine,
Oops, guilty. Sorry.
And
the guy you mentioned, the prodigy, Ben Stern, to this day still answers my calls, and he knows I'm going to ask a ridiculously dumb question, but he always has the answer.
We love it. I mean, when you can't help but enjoy talking about it. That's the thing. I mean, to this day, I'm still the worst customer service person ever. I'll talk all day about when we get into hunting stuff.
Yeah, if you don't know Jeff, 15 minutes later, you're buddies with him. That's a fact. But, I love the history, and obviously it's been a quick ramp for you guys, but I think I'm going to spin this thing back. Of course, this whole podcast, everything we're doing with UC Hunting Properties, a lot of what we're doing with Expedition Land Management, it all ties back into real estate. And I would argue the majority of our listeners are some way, somehow involved in the real estate industry. And I think, from a real estate perspective, having the trail camera history on a farm and stuff, that's a no-brainer. You can literally increase the value of your farm by being able to tell a story through the documentation of what's here, what's been here, what do the genetics look like. So that's the given. I think the newer spin, Jeff, especially relative to real estate, is using cellular cameras, especially a Reveal, as a security measure. And whether that's putting it on a fence post and watching who's driving in and out of a listing or a farm that you got listed, it's a pretty neat tool. So I think there's a whole, I guess what I would say, secondary market on the security side with the developments you guys are making.
It's funny that you say that because, everybody who knows me knows I'm a little bit of a land junkie, and we're
going there. We're going there next.
And it's amazing the way that people, even if it's not listed through, like UC or somebody, it's amazing the way that even these farmers and stuff are learning the value of deer on a property and what a big deer, truly is worth. And it's just changed the way that it's worked. So you see everybody using them now.
Yep.
I'll drive around. I was looking at a property down south just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the guy had reveals everywhere. And he didn't know me from Adam. We'd never met before. I just called him and said, hey, yeah, I'm interested. And we're driving around, and as soon as we come in the gate, he had one on his gate. We get over to his barn, had one on his barn,
Yep.
and I'm just like, man, that's a really nice camera. How do you like them? And he starts going off, and he's like, my wife hates them. I have a $700 a month bill, and he's going on. And I'm like, yeah, I really love them. And he's like, you know those guys? I'm like, yeah, I might.
Might be that guy.
Yeah. And you start to see all the uses that people now have for them. And I think that's been the coolest thing about them is people have developed their own. They've helped us develop the market to say where to go next, because farmers are using them now. I mean, some of our biggest accounts are John Deere stores and places that you wouldn't even think about. Farmers are using them a ton for security. And to your point, you list a property. It's not like you can set out there at the gate. And once it has a sign on it, you know how that goes. Like everybody thinks that it's public land at that point. And so having them not only strategically placed to capture the deer and be able to show them off, which is what recreational property is just, I don't have to tell you, it's exploded.
We kind of appreciate it fully.
Yeah. But now, to be able to protect that investment too, it's huge. And I never really thought much about it. I have them on my driveway. I have them everywhere, but it was more the thought of testing in the beginning. And then it's just become, a commonplace for me to put a camera where I want to watch something, and it might not have anything to do with animals at this point.
Right.
And I look at those cameras as often as I do anything else.
One, even over the weekend, I was out at my brother-in-law's farm, and he's right in the midst of calving season. And I asked him, I said, man, you should probably just put a reveal in your calf shed, because a lot of times they'll move a cow in there that they know's close, ready, whatever. And I said, you could literally go live feed that thing and did the calf hit the ground? Do we need to be there? Is she having problems? And I'm like, that beats getting out of bed at 3:00 in the morning and walking down there.
Right. Just picking up your phone and checking to see how things are going is way better.
It. Yeah. So, I think there's endless possibilities where it goes. And I'm going to broach this topic because I think it's worthy of – I'd like your opinion on this, Jeff. Obviously there's some static out west. Some states are almost going the opposite direction. I think as serious whitetail hunters, everyone on this, we're using them, for that MRI, that most recent information. That deer was literally there 15 minutes ago. I need to be there, right? Where does it go? Where does it end? How do you see this thing evolving? Because I don't know where we start drawing a line in ethical hunting practices versus technology. I guess I'm of the mindset, if it's available and it's legal, I'm all over it. Whether it's a bow, a camera, a scope, whatever. But I do think that's starting to become more of a soundbite, if nothing else.
Sure. I think it's like everything. I think the pendulum swings both ways, right? And it never really spends a lot of time in the middle. So I think that when you look at this, there are some states, especially the western public land, and believe it or not, the biggest push, is public land hunters, because they don't want other people to have the advantage. Yeah, right. They don't want them to know they're there. They don't want them to be able to watch things when they're not there.
Right.
They want to, and I get it. Those are the same guys that want to tell the story about walking 10 miles uphill both ways, right. And never they're no longer looking at the hunt being, it's, and I get it. Everybody has what they call their version of the hunt. And
sure.
So I don't see it ever expanding into, the whitetail hunting states, especially when 90th percentile of the property is controlled by private landowners. But at the same time, some of it has to do too with the people that set in. You get it. Look at, if we had a chance to sit down and change some of the hunting rules, I would pick party hunting in Iowa and start picking that one apart real quick for an example.
Well,
I think
it's cool that you bring that up, because I think there's a big success story that just unfolded, and there was a group, and I'm just going to say, it was literally led by Skip Sly out of southern Iowa, and he's a big land guy, especially recreational land. But they just put a stop to some pretty major legislation that would have changed the state of Iowa and the non-resident, the whole scenario, we're not going to go there because Skip's actually going to come on and do a podcast with us. But on that note, I mean, I think it is worthy of telling the bigger audience we need to speak up.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of topics, and there's a lot of people in seats in Congress and in the House of Representatives. They're not hunters. I mean, people forget, we run in our little circles, but people forget, and they forget quickly, that we're the minority as hunters. There's a lot of people that have no background, no experience hunting. It's not part of their legacy or heritage or how they got brought up. And those guys are answering to the big lobby. So not to turn this into a big political talk, but I think that's a good reminder. And I like how you teed that up, Jeff, because, I mean, Iowa as an example, I think it's like 90, don't quote me, 93 or 94% of the land in Iowa is privately owned.
Yeah.
So it'd be crazy to me to think that, per se, a very small percentage would drive, what's happening to us, the hunter. We need to speak up. So
no question. And I think that you'll see it more in some of those western public states before people start to push back. And, at one point in Montana, you couldn't attach a Tactacam to a bow.
Not that long ago.
Yeah. And those are things that we continue to invest in, both time and money, to make sure that we're protecting, not just for us and our company, but, for every company out there doing what we're doing to protect hunting.
Thank God you are. You know what I mean? And I think more companies in the outdoor space need to speak up and start putting some effort, and I hate to say into the big lobbying effort, but that's what we're up against.
It's true. Yeah.
And anybody that thinks big insurance is going to turn a blind eye to deer getting hit on the road, you're dreaming.
Yep.
They would eradicate the herd if they could. So that's a whole nother topic. But
it is a big push for us, though. I mean, just to make sure that we try and be as cautious as possible to make sure that we're towing that line of, it's still hunting. You get it.
Yep.
I mean, I wish that I could tell you that every big deer I got pictures of is hanging on my wall, but that would be bull crap, and it's still hunting. Is it a tool that helps a ton? Absolutely. A lot of tools, food plots, everything else. But let's face it, they're smart. They got that big for a reason.
Right.
And having real-time information, it's definitely valuable, but you still got to go and do the job.
It helps us average hunters become better, right?
It does,
because,
for sure.
I mean, you got eyes and actually now eyes and ears on the ground at all times.
Yeah.
So
Well, a hunter that's got limited time, I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing, and you kind of hit it, not necessarily even average, just guys that are super limited. If you don't have a lot of time to go out and just sit on the side of the road and scout, that more and more people are getting busier and busier, and you just don't have time to go out to your farm, sit there, scout, pay attention. And people's time is very limited when you get off. So to be able to say, hey, I'm going to take this time off because this is my best chance at shooting whatever animal it is you're going after.
Yeah.
I mean, that itself is huge. And I think that's why, the cellular cameras now, the way they're set up, are so much more important for people.
Well, even the difference of, and I think we're all guilty of this, but I mean, we've all had a farm where you literally have 20 tree stands rammed on a 200-acre piece that realistically could probably get hunted from 3 spots, right? Like you could effectively hunt every deer on the farm in 3 spots if you were using cellular cameras properly, right? So food for thought, instead of having 20 tree stands, I would say have 20 cameras and 3 tree stands.
Yeah, you learn a lot more, right? Now I've gotten to the point to where very rarely, unless it's just like, okay, I got to hang one here, very rarely do I hang a stand until I have intel on the area, and then it's like, okay, then I'll go in and hang sets. But
totally get it. Yep.
Before, it's pointless. And, I mean, that is what we tried to build this for. The price point, if you haven't noticed, even through all this, prices on everything, you can afford to buy reveals better than a dozen eggs today.
Well, in a lot of cases, you're buying 3 reveals to some other brands. So, I mean, it's dramatic.
And that's what we did it. The guy whom it started as, hey, a guy who gets a week or 2 a year, let's make his time as enjoyable as possible. But even I'm in the hunting industry. And I always thought it would be really cool because I'm like, oh, I get to hunt all the time. Like, this is going to be awesome. And I hunt less now by far than I was hunting before I got into it. You know, you get into, that's our busy season.
Yep.
And you just, so even for me, somebody who you would think would have, you know, the ability to be able to kind of punch, you know, unlimited time clock to be able to be out there, it's just the opposite. I mean, I rely on them so much.
Right.
Not just for me. I mean, everybody who knows me knows how much I love to hunt with my kids. You know, that's my driver. My wife, big hunter. I want their experiences to be as great as possible, and I can't set up on top of a hill and scout, you know, all day,
Right.
every day. So this is the tool that I use to, you know, make Carissa and Tara and little
Give you a little-
Tommy
little jump,
an
yeah.
edge, right, to put them in the right
Well, yeah,
spot.
dude, your wife's a freaking killer. She's slaughtering stuff.
Yeah, they have a blend. Carissa, she's, you know, 12 now, and she's she has a wall of deer that'll put a lot of dudes to shame.
Oh,
you know,
for sure.
And it's just they love it, and it does. I mean, Carissa gets in the app and she calls it dibs. She'll find a big buck before me, and she's like, "I got dibs on that one." I made her a meme. It's like, you know, it says, "I got dibs on that one" until a bigger one shows up. you
Right,
know,
right. I guess I'm shooting too, Dad. Oh, funny. Well, and you touched on it, Jeff. I mean, I love the term land junkie. Clearly, you are that, and you have a secondary strategy going from, I guess I would call it an investment perspective, because I think parking money in land or buying dirt is probably as safe as you could be. But on the flip side, you get the enjoyment of hunting them, setting them up. Obviously, you love all things land management. So, walk us through that, because that's kind of been an evolution too. You moved, I believe, when I met you, you just moved from Illinois into Iowa, so you're kind of in the mecca of deer country. But you've been all over the place, and now you're investing in some farms. Walk us through. I mean, is there a strategy or a playbook you're using for that?
You know, it started with, so back when I could, I mean, once we started bootstrapping Tactacam, we built it, you know, we didn't get paid for 5 years. So we were literally living off of savings, and you were just watching everything dwindle. So we sold a lot of, you know, sold some ground in Indiana, sold pretty much everything, sold the house, sold everything in order to make it go. And it was the only thing that I regret of that is looking back. In fact, I called Tara and I said, you know, I looked up the guy who bought our Indiana ground, and I said, I'm going to call this guy and just see if he'll sell it back to me. Like, you know, because that's the only thing I regret.
Sure.
And as I look at it going forward, same thing happened. Came to Iowa, had some awesome leases in Southwest Iowa. Great landowner who was fun to work with. The time came, I was able to. He gave me the opportunity to buy it all. It was big, and I was just like, nope, it's not the right time. This wouldn't be a good idea. Still a little bit gun shy with things, and it would have been a substantial, probably $6 million purchase. It was a lot of property and a big chunk, and the neighbor found out about it right after, like, I said no. You know, the story started to get out that he might be willing to sell it. Neighbor called him and ended up buying it for $8 million. So,
wow.
I mean, I wouldn't even had to close the paper on the deal, but that's how, you know, the power of it, to your point, maybe now more than anything else. I mean, heck, I bought a farm from your buddy, you know what, a year ago or whatever.
Give or take, yeah.
I mean, paid just a little over $5,000 an acre, and people told me I was an idiot. Like, they're like, "Whoa, you overpaid for that piece,"
Right.
you know. And
fast forward to today, and you look
you
like a
could
genius.
Sell it for a double.
Right.
And I mean, it was you know, a year and a half. So, in my opinion, I agree. It doesn't always work like that, but there's no safer investment. And in today's market, there are so many people that are looking for recreational property. The value, and I think a lot of it changed over the last 3 years, the value of being back outdoors, being back on a piece of dirt. It's, as opposed to sitting in a movie theater, AMC stock's getting crushed today,
Right.
but land value just continues to go through the roof. And I think it's going to continue to be that way.
Bud Light's down, land is up.
You
Yes.
got it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what, $8 billion or whatever. So
That's a whole that alone could be a podcast.
That hurt.
But yeah, anyway.
So I agree. I mean, I and now I'm just shifting within Iowa, because I think Iowa's a great state. I love 90% of what they do as a state. So I'm just shifting within Iowa to the places that, you know, I see have opportunity, and And same thing. I don't mind now being 5-6 hours away from a farm because it's like I can be there real time all the time with the camera. So it doesn't scare me like it used to or like it should have scared anybody before.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, I mean, somebody from Ohio wanting dirt here or Indiana for that matter, I would have been very hesitant 10 years ago because part of this deer hunting is the strategy of how do you keep people off this? How do I limit pressure? I think anybody that trespasses at this point is an absolute idiot.
Yep.
Because there are cellular cameras everywhere.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of other brands out there, and I can tell you, we have a million of them running, and our pocket is very concentrated to Midwestern deer hunters.
For sure.
Everybody asks, like when a couple of the Western states, said, hey, you can't use cellular trail cameras during season anymore. Is that going to affect your business? I'm like, yeah, it was like 4 cameras. Like nobody used them out there anyway, so it didn't really matter.
I do laugh. I think I was at the Pulp and Young convention last year, or the year before. I don't even remember. And I got into a conversation with some guys, and I think they were talking about it was either Utah or Nevada, one or the other. And just playing off what you just said, Jeff, they said there was a water hole, and it was like the only water hole in 1,000 acres or something of dense forest. And they said on that water hole, there were literally 27 trail cameras.
Yeah.
So to your point, they're probably their own worst enemy, when I start thinking about it. But
100%.
I think in the Midwest, especially with non-residents interested in owning land in maybe some different states to have that extra tag or have that investment opportunity, because clearly some areas of Iowa are definitely more conducive to land trading hands than others.
For sure. And it does give you flexibility just to be able to keep an eye on everything while you're not there. And to your point, people know when you buy stuff from out of town, and they're like, oh, we know where he stays. We know where, there's those unscrupulous people that they're always going to be there.
Jeff's traveling. Let's go shed hunt his farm.
Exactly. You'd like to.
Well, I mean, it worked for me for years, and now Jeff's got this camera thing going, and my shed count's way down.
I wondered why you'd always call and ask if I was down south or not.
You finally picked up on it. Yeah. Damn it.
But I think it is one of those things that from an investment perspective, you're talking, you can do a really good job, especially summertime, with 5 or 6 trail cameras on a nice size piece, gathering intel on what's there. And it does matter. I mean, I know a particular guy, we might even be sitting in his lodge, that would, if I found a 250 tomorrow on a piece of property, I could sell it to him for whatever I wanted to. I mean, the value is instead of, to the farm piece, it's still CSR2, it's still all, but the recreational piece, I can argue, outweighs that today. And it's crazy.
Because, obviously, I think they go hand in hand, right? Because I think what people forget about is specific to the recreational ground. There are a lot of wealthy Americans with money, liquid money, sitting on the sidelines. And to your point, we're sitting here joking about, buying a farm because of a deer, but I don't think that's a stretch anymore. Because these people can literally move money into that, treat it as an investment, look at whatever returns there. Historically speaking, ground's moving at about 6%. Mm-hmm. So 6% is pretty solid. You look at the S&P at like 6.6, over the course of its lifetime. I'd roll the dice on something I can walk on or drive on or hunt with my kid over that.
Yeah, has value to you other than just, and that's the cool thing about it. You're always going to win on it long term. It's not something that I recommend today's world people get in and try and flip.
It's a little tougher now.
It is, because there's, to your point, there's too many people who are willing to spend on it. You're not going to get a deal. The last auction piece I bought here, I got caught up in the moment. I wish my wife was with me. She would have duct taped my mouth shut, but you're not going to get a deal. There's no real deals to be had.
Outside of a family transaction at this point, if it's hitting the market, I'm not going to disagree with you. Yeah. People know what it's worth, and time value of money against land, that's a pretty tough argument, or a pretty compelling argument.
100%. And if you're buying it for the right reasons, just had this conversation with my brother. He's buying a piece close to his house, and I said, if you're buying it to keep it for a decade, best investment you'll make. Way better than, way safer, for the amount of money you'll make off that 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah, the odds of going backward they almost don't even exist.
Yep.
So,
and let's face it, counting on the stock market today, I know there's a lot of people who make money in it, but I'm a skeptic. And to your point, having something that I can touch and feel there's a ton of value there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's pivot one more time, Jeff. Obviously, you're a huge big game hunter. You've been kind of all over the place killing stuff. What do you got on the docket for this year?
Oh man,
it's going to be a long list.
It is. I mean, this year I hate to say it because it'll make everybody think I'm not working. We got a little bit crazy.
He's got people now, so
yeah, we did get a little bit crazy this year. So we start in with an early season velvet hunt. We're going to go to Nebraska on a mule deer hunt, which will be fun.
Not to interrupt you, Jeff, but you are like completely skimming over turkeys.
Yeah,
and I know you slaughter it's Chris Cobbett numbers.
We've already started on the turkey piece. We go to Florida every year, and it's a nice getaway, and you get out of this crappy Iowa weather, and we stay a week and fish, and we take a different group every down. We've got an old sod farmer that lets us come hunt every year, and we just pay him for each bird that we shoot. And
I must have missed my invite or something.
You guys we have an open invite. We rent a big VRBO, and it's just a big, it's always fun. We get 5 or 6 people together, and there's tons of birds. We usually are done hunting in 2 days.
And those are all Osceolas where you're at?
Yep, true Osceolas. Yep. Right. And we stay for 5, 6 days and just hang out and fish and have fun. So that always kicks off the year because that's early March.
Sure.
And then we came back here for youth. We always do an Easter hunt, and we'll bring, some of the kids as friends or people who don't have an opportunity to get out and hunt. And there's always 1 or 2 kids that get to kill their first birds, and
that's
they get
awesome.
Yeah, so much fun. So we had a good hunt. We had 3 kids down youth season. We actually decided to just drive all the way down and go to a new piece that we'd picked up. Never hunted it before. I was getting tons of pictures, so I knew there were plenty of birds. And
sure.
We sat in the same blind morning, evening, and the next morning, and each one of them
just hammered them.
Shot a bird, and it was just so much fun. So. Yeah, and then, heck, I'll be everywhere. I'll be up with Cobbett. I go up to Maine every year with him. So we do some traveling, but it's mainly me pulling the trigger on a turkey, that's not – turkey hunting's more, to me, it's the camaraderie. It's an awesome thing to get kids into because it's interactive.
It's a weird time of year, right, for us hunters. I mean – What else would we do?
Yeah,
I mean, for sure.
So, you call it weird, but there's some turkey guys out that will call the whitetail area pretty weird too.
Oh yeah,
and I agree. I mean,
hardcore,
super hardcore. And I'm like, clearly you've never elk hunted because once you go turkey hunting, but it's an 800-900 pound screaming bull elk. Now I get it.
That's a turkey on steroids, no question. And we got a couple of elk hunts this fall. One in Utah. I'm excited about, and then. Haven't told anybody this.
Hot off the press.
My wife, she kind of put every once in a while, she's been super lenient. I'm like, hey, let's do this Tactacam thing. Hey, let's move to Iowa. Hey, and she's just like, and she stays with me for some reason. Anybody's ever met her, she definitely, I overmarried. There's no question about that. And so when I look at it, it's one of those things that any time that I have an opportunity to make her happy with something that comes around hunting, I just do my best to try and do it. And she told me flat out, she's like, hey, no more farms, period. Like, we got enough whitetail farms. Like, no more farms until you buy me a place we can go hunt elk that's our own. So
sure.
So we haven't closed on it yet. We'll close in May, but we're buying a piece in Montana, which I'm super excited about. Loaded with elk, so we're confident enough that everything goes through that we put our tags in and everything for that area. So that'll be the first time that I can say I like to elk hunt. I got into it 5 or 6 years ago, and now I'm definitely hooked. But this will be the first time that I can say that I actually get to go try and hunt elk on my own ground. So
that'll be sweet, man.
Yeah, it'll be totally different when you actually get to start. As much as I love the management piece, when you start to actually get a manage as opposed to just showing up for the week or 10 days and hunting. Right. So I'm super excited about that.
One, I think we've seen it even, Montana's arguably my favorite state to hunt outside of Iowa. And it's because of elk, it's because of mule deer, and it's different, right? But I do think a lot of the western states, there's not a lot of private landowners doing much from a management perspective. And I will be the first to say, whenever that really clicks, there are pockets that are going to be absolutely insane.
No question.
And I don't think it's an epic thing. I mean, I think if you had 10 acres of food dedicated only to, whether it's your mule deer, your antelope, your elk, or all of the above, you're going to have a honey hole.
Oh, yeah. And, elk, they learn even much more than a whitetail. Their travel stays the same. So, like this particular farm, this old boy, he got out in front of it, and he's been doing it for 30 years, and like he literally has the elk just trained to know, hey, there's no cows. Hey, there's alfalfa. Hey, there's water. Like, come here. So that's exactly what he's done, is he's just pulled a ton of, one, it helps the overall population in the area because they actually have a sustainable resource that they can come there. But then two, he's got them migrating through there in the time of year that you want them to be migrating through there. So
he's created a little magic area.
I mean, they're nomadic, they're going to move, but the time, that September, October time where you really want them on your ground, they're there. And so I'm super excited about getting, learning more about that. But you're right. When it starts to kick, when it starts to click out there that, hey, we can make adaptations to become, more
a premier spot.
It'll change.
We're lucky that the ranch we hunted on last year, I mean, that's exactly what's happened. And through the years, they understood the value of having the animals, and now they actually cater to them, right? Mm-hmm. When you're not taking a second cutting of hay off hundreds of acres, truly to cater to the elk, I mean, that's an impressive commitment, I guess, to the greater good.
No question.
I'll be anxious, Jeff, and I know you'll have this thing tracked like we do the whitetails, but I'll be anxious to see year in and year out as you're seeing a bull progress, like how many of them you recognize from the year before, because they're herd animals, right? They're gonna migrate, they're gonna move. You can't per se keep them on you, but it'll be interesting to see how many you actually get to carry over year in and year out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be just, and that's the funnest part. I mean, it's the story. I mean, the shed's in front of us. That's what makes it cool. Is that's what makes me love whitetail hunting. Right? Is you get to actually paint the whole picture. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you end up shooting a deer, it's kind of icing on the cake, but getting him to do everything that he was supposed to do and adapting that property to it's addictive. Like,
it's a lifestyle.
It is,
right?
They should definitely have like a land property management anonymous deal for people who are just it truly is an addiction. It's not I don't even know.
And it's one you don't want to get rid of. I get it, yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, and my wife, she pulled up yesterday. I just parked it in the driveway because I knew that she would see it when it hit the bank account anyways. I went out and got the 333, the one that Gerpsy was saying, like, hey, this is the one if you're going to buy one. And for only, I wish I could say I needed it for like work or something. It's literally just so I could put in food plots where I want food plots. And like that kind of stuff. Everybody, they spend their money going to Hawaii or doing this, and land managers, they get it, right? You're dumping all. It's not just that initial investment, but it's everything you do, knowing that the harder you work, once you have it, the more it's going to be worth in the future.
Yep.
And that's really the driver.
Well, you're playing the long game, right?
Yeah.
And getting to enjoy the whole trip through time. And you're watching something appreciate like crazy. You're making it better.
And I cross my fingers and hope that my kids want it. But if they don't want it, then at least they have something that.
Then I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I'll sell it.
Yeah, there'll be a long line of people lined up.
Yeah, we'll sell it for you. That ain't a problem.
Yeah, we'd make Zach a happy man if
that's right.
If we quit hunting tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, we got some good contacts in Montana, so if this ranch thing doesn't work out, just let us know.
Got some new ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
you sent me that one. I was like, gee, many Christmas. Like, I was literally like 3 weeks under contract at that point.
Let me put it this way, Jeff. I only know like 3 guys that I can legitimately send a 45,000 acre piece to that would give it due diligence, and you're one of them.
That was a cool piece for sure. Yeah, there's, it's one of those things that you guys have the coolest job, because just getting the opportunity to get out and, the way that you guys do it, it's not just, hey, we sell you a piece of land and good luck. But the way that you guys actually go in and manage it afterwards, even if they want to do a bunch of it themselves, I mean, you guys do some work for me. You guys do, some of it I do myself, but the advice and the things that, just watching what you guys do and emulating it, it does help the average guy like myself that, I call myself a pseudo deer farmer. And,
right.
It helps. I mean,
the only thing missing is a fence.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
well, Jeff, we know you're crazy busy. Trav, I was going to give you a second to chime in if you got anything. You kind of been the guy in the corner on this one, but hit us up if you got anything shaking.
Other than, we hit a lot on everything, around the reveal. I use it in our business to send potential buyers, updated pictures of, of deer or turkeys or whatever, of properties that they got under contract that they're waiting to close on, just to kind of keep them engaged ahead of time. Also, the security thing is a huge thing. I pick up things on farms that the sellers don't see, and I reach out like, why is there an excavator there? Well, I have no idea. Well,
I'm sabotaging Jeff's pond.
Yeah. No.
So those things are. We all buy them to capture the wild game we're looking for, but they have a ton of other uses that are out there, and I commend you, Jeff, and the team. I know it's just more than you doing this, and you've got a great product that's very cost effective but user friendly. So other than that, just hope you have a great year hunting, and you can enjoy, because the only thing we can't get is more time. So the time you are away, hopefully you get some time to enjoy everything.
No question. That's something that we worked on a lot this year. It was, you guys will have to look up. I won't bore you with the Mexican fisherman proverb, but it hit home really, really close this year. It's a good one. So if there's anything I can say that you do when we get off this, read that. It definitely puts what you said into perspective, Travis.
Excellent. Well, we are about to pack up, go do some burning, and we leave for Montana tomorrow, believe it or not, to shoot turkeys. So,
nice.
Yeah, it'll be
You're
a lot
traveling
of fun.
that far to shoot a turkey?
Well, it's for a good cause. I'm just going to leave it like that. So, Jeff, you got anything in closing? Otherwise, I know you're a busy dude. We're going to wrap this thing up.
No, I think it's been awesome. I'm glad you guys had me. This was a lot of fun. You get to sit around and talk with like-minded people about hunting. I could do that every day. So I appreciate it.
That's an easy conversation.
Hey, amen. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, good luck in the field. Good luck with all things Reveal, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Stand on Your Investment podcast, presented by UC Hunting Properties and Expedition Land Management.